여러분 안녕하세요. 지니 선생님입니다. Today we're going to talk about the locative particle. As the word locative indicates, this particle is used with a noun that indicates a location. For example, you can say 나는 집 가요. But to be exact, you need to have a particle 에 after 집. Therefore, it becomes 나는 집에 가요. Same thing is true when you go to a place, to come to a place, or to return to a place. Therefore, you need to say 나는 학교에 가요. 나는 집에 와요. 나는 집에 돌아가요. 에 has several usages. It is used when a subject is at a place. For example, when you say that your mom is at home, you need to say that 엄마가 집에 있어요. Notice some examples. 선생님이 교실에 있어요. 컴퓨터가 방에 있어요. 나는 의자에 앉아요. 나는 LA에 살아요. As you see, in each sentence, 교실, 방, 의자, and LA are all nouns that indicate a place, and you have to use a particle 에 after each noun. However, if a subject is doing something at a given place, instead of 에, you need to use another particle. It is 에서. Let's take a look at a couple of examples. 나는 학교에 있어요. 나는 학교에서 공부해요. As you see from the second sentence, since you're studying, not simply being there, 에서 is used instead of 에. Remember, you need to use 에서 when the subject is doing something at a given place. Then, which particle should you use in the blank? 나는 집, blank, 책을 읽어요. Yes, you need to use 에서 instead of 에 because the subject, 나, is doing something, which is reading a book. If you're simply at home, you're going to say 나는 집에 있어요. I hope you see the difference. We're going to look at a few more particles. Let's take a look at the particle 에 once more. We talked about a couple of usages of 에 already. If a subject is at a place, you need to use this. Or if a subject is coming, going, or returning, you need to use 에. 에 should be used with a noun that indicates the place. Another usage for 에 is with time. Whenever a time is used other than simply telling what time it is, the particle 에 should be used. We will see more of that later. In conjunction with that, for any nouns indicating time, you need to use 에 after the noun. For example, if you want to say in Korean, I study in the afternoon, you say, 나는 오후에 공부해요. Notice that 에 is attached to the word 오후 because 오후 is a noun that indicates time. When you say, I go to school on Monday, it will be 나는 월요일에 학교에 가요. Notice that 에 is used after 월요일 because 월요일 is a noun that indicates time. There are exceptions though. You do not use 에 with 오늘, 내일, and 어제. As you see, 에 has several usages. Let's take a look at a few more particles. 에게. We know that if a subject is going to a certain place, we need to use the particle 에. But if the subject is going to a person, either 에게 or 한테 should be used. For example, if you're going to your friend, you need to say 나는 친구에게 가요. Instead of 나는 친구에 가요. Then how would you say I am going to the teacher? Right, you need to say 나는 선생님에게 가요. 한테 is the same as 에게. 한테 is a colloquial form, while 에게 is used in writing more than in spoken language. 에서. This particle is used to indicate from a place. We have already seen that 에서 is used when a subject is doing something at a place, and this is another usage. 나는 집에서 학교에 가요. This means that I am going to school from home. Notice that 에서 is used after 집 to say from home. 에게서. Now, I'm sure you have an idea of when to use this. It is used to indicate from a person. When you say, I get my allowance from my mom, then you say, 나는 엄마한테서 용돈을 받아요. Many native speakers say 한테 instead of 한테서 when they mean from, but this is not correct. When you mean from a person, the correct particle is either 에게서 or 한테서. 와, 과, 이랑, 하고. Each of these has the same usage. These are used to connect two nouns or have a meaning of with. Notice that E is in parentheses. That means if there is a final consonant, you're going to be using the 이랑, while you are going to use only 랑 if there is no final consonant. Do you remember 이, 가, 을, 를, and 는? I remember saying that you are going to choose the one that has iung when there is a final consonant of the last letter of the word, right? 와, 과 is an exception though. This is the only pair that is not used in the same way. If we apply the same rule as before, we have to pick wa if there is a final consonant. But it's the opposite. You have to use qua if there is a final consonant. Let's take a look at these examples. Pen and pencil. 펜과 연필. Notice that qua is used, although pen has a final consonant. Mom and dad. 엄마와 아빠. Notice that wa is used, although 엄마 does not have a final consonant in the last letter of the word. So you can say 엄마와 아빠가 몰에서 책을 사요. What does that mean? Mom and dad buy a book at the mall. It is the same as 엄마랑 아빠가 몰에서 책을 사요. Or 엄마하고 아빠가 몰에서 책을 사요. If you say 나는 엄마와 아빠와 몰에 가요, it means I am going to the mall with my mom and dad. So, 와, 과, 이랑, and 하고 have the same usage, and they have two functions. Number one is to connect the two or more nouns, and another function is to mean with. The last particle to study is a possessive particle. When you say mom's book, it is 엄마의 책. Notice that 의 is added to the first noun to indicate the possession of the person. How about teacher's coffee? It is 선생님의 커피. Would you repeat after me? 선생님의 커피. Good. How about 친구의 집? What did I say? I said 친구의 집. I meant friend's house. How did you feel to pronounce the letter 의? Oftentimes, even native Koreans have the trouble pronouncing the letter 의. Therefore, instead of 의, the letter 에 can be used, although the correct spelling should be 의. Notice the difference. 친구의 집, 친구의 집. Still having trouble pronouncing the 에? Okay, then don't pronounce 에 or 의. Simply say the two nouns together, like 친구 집. Then it means friend's house. So when two nouns are used together without any particles in between, it becomes a possessive form. It is acceptable in spoken language. That implies that you must use the possessive particle 의. See the following words. 선생님 교실, 엄마 방, 아빠 차, and so on. Oftentimes, we tend not to use the particles because it is not easy to use the proper particles, or because we want to say things as quickly as possible in spoken language. However, once you make a habit to use the proper particle when you speak, eventually we will learn faster and not have to spend much time thinking of the correct particle. 다음에 만나요.